you see that prices fall by 4% when you get into a crisis. Sorry, prices rise by 4%, you get in the crisis. Suddenly it seems as though we're in a de-escalatory phase, so prices drop by 5%, and I think that's what we're going to see. I think 2020 is going to be a year of volatility, not just for oil prices and energy prices, but for geopolitics. And I think the geopolitical uncertainty will play a larger role on energy prices this year as people figure out how to price this in. It's actually remarkable that energy prices have remained so low through everything we've gone through. Iranian sanctions, Libyan turmoil, Iraqi uncertainties. But despite all that, and partly because of the glut of oil that we have had on the market, and also the U.S. Oil and gas production, we've actually kept prices remarkably stable for a long period of time. I think the big question is, can that hold out in 2020, which I think will be a year of volatility. We at the Atlantic Council, in working with our GCC partners, and particularly with our Emirati partners, are trying to do two things simultaneously, or trying to help the region do two things simultaneously. One of them is to reduce conflict and to wind down the tensions of the region. But at the same time, you have to unlock the human potential, the remarkable human potential of the Middle East and of the GCC. If you look at the GDP of this region, and if you took the size of population for the Middle East and put it anywhere in the world, you would have 3 times the GDP. So imagine how much low-hanging fruit there is here and how much development opportunity there is here. And we're focusing on that. And that's a large part of the reason why we like coming here every year for our annual Atlantic Council Global Energy Forum, to really focus on the human potential of this region that can be unlocked even as you're winding down conflict. A lot of people are focusing on the wrong lessons from the last few days. No doubt there's been a lot of tension. No doubt there was, for a period of time, an increased risk of violent conflict. On the other hand, both parties stood back from that. No one in the region wants an escalating, an escalation of the current tensions. Everyone participated in de-escalating when it came to that. I think that's promising. I think all parties see that there's no gain in war. The U.S. doesn't see any gain, Iran doesn't see any gain, certainly the Arab countries, the GCC doesn't see any gain. The real question is, can you turn that knowledge that we have no interest in violent conflict into a more positive message, which is we have a huge interest in unlocking human potential together. And I think that if you can turn this de-escalation into a diplomatic initiative, that would be the best of all outcomes. Well, first I'll break a little news for you. So for your Sustainability Week, there's a challenge that everyone is supposed to make a commitment toward that outcome. The Atlantic Council will make its own commitment, which is to make 1 billion people on Earth more resilient to climate and other tensions and crisis through a combination of the work of our Adrian Arsht Rockefeller Foundation Resilience Center and our Mideast Center. And we'll announce that at the beginning of our session, our opening session on Saturday morning. We think it's a wonderful initiative. The UAE is probably the place on Earth where you can best see clean energy, renewables, fossil fuels. You can see the energy transition taking place right in front of you. The leadership here has been a lot more future-oriented than a lot of fossil fuel producing countries in understanding that the writing is on the wall. The energy transition is going to come, and we have to adjust both for the good of the world, but the good of our own people. We've been proud to work together with the UAE on this set of issues, and in the 4th year of this summit, we feel totally justified, vindicated in our decision to bring things here. We've had success for 4 years, and it's because people come here and they say, this is one of the few places in the world where one can talk about all aspects of energy, both past and future, with a great deal of credibility. Much of the world, many people in the world live in the utopian hope that carbon just won't exist and will go away and will be replaced by other things. I think we have a much more realistic view, which is through carbon pricing, through carbon capture, through decarbonization over time. It's a much more realistic view of where the future is going. And for the UAE and Saudi Arabia and others to be taking a lead in this area can be inspirational for others. The technology has moved on a long way, and it has come further than many of us thought would be the case by now, but still has a long way to go. And I'm not a great expert on this technology, but I'm watching it closely because breakthroughs in this area could bring the kind of quick change that we need in the climate world that we're seeing is necessary, more and more necessary each year. The Emirates, in so many respects, hit above their weight. And if you look at the population of the country and then put that against what kind of influence the Emirates have in the renewable world, in the energy world, it's always been outsized. Now with these new discoveries, with the new announcements, you're moving up the rank ladder, I think, from number 7 to number 6 in the world. But what that really says is your voice is being heard more and more. And the fact that we're here with our 4th annual Atlantic Council Global Energy Forum merely underscores the position that the UAE has rightly taken at the center of the debate about energy's future. And if I could do that, then I wouldn't have to be in my current job. All joking aside, I think that we've seen that technology moves very often faster than people think it's going to move. I think we've underestimated for a long time the impact that technology can have on many sectors of our society. We're in an area, going into an era of big data, of artificial intelligence, of quantum computing. We've only begun to think about how that's going to influence the energy sector, but I think that 5 years from now, we'll find that these technologies have not only helped along the speed of renewables, they also could make far stronger the efficient use of current energy. So it's not only the renewables will invent, it's the energy we'll save if we properly implement all the technologies that are coming at us. So the short answer to your question is 5 years from now, I think we'll have seen technology move much faster than we thought. And we should all hope for that, because I really think it's going to be technology above all that's going to help us address the climate crisis. One of the more interesting developments I've observed in the UAE is the notion that by leapfrogging and by being a leader in technology, and as you know, you're one of, I think you may be the only country in the world that has an AI minister, but by leapfrogging and getting ahead of others of technology, you actually allow your country to play a larger role, not only for the good of its own people, but also as a development tool in relationship with other countries. So working with, for instance, India on health issues by deploying AI is just one example of many where the UAE is really thinking in future-oriented ways about how it can be a technology leader, not just for the good of its own people, but also use this as a development tool for other countries that it can work together with. One of the things I'm finding most fascinating is watching Asia and LNG and the development of gas markets. If you're an American, then one of the biggest concerns you have to have when you're looking at China and when you're looking at the trade frictions we have is, could this gigantic gas market, LNG market, be lost to American producers? And so the gas story and the development of the market is going to have a lot to do with Asia. If you look at pricing right now, you also could imagine gas, questions about whether gas development will go as far as some would like it to go, partly because is there enough profit in it? And is there enough profit for people to push it forward? But I think this will be one of the most dynamic areas to watch, and particularly in terms of Asia.